far to where we are, from where we used to be. We found a heart to make a start. We changed those tune, if you please, mining new melodies for songs in different keys.
Coal mining wasn't just one of the country's oldest industries, which helped to fuel the Industrial Revolution and create modern Britain. It also built communities that kept the industry alive for generations.
Where it might lead us to, though there's still much more to do. There's still much more to do.
In 7 short years, from 1985 to 1992, nearly all the mines were shut down. The deep mine coal industry has gone.
We found a heart to make a start. We changed us tune, if you please, mining new melodies for songs in different keys.
But if the mines have gone, the communities remain. Many of them still struggling to regenerate themselves 15 or 20 years after the closure of their pit.
So far to where we are, from where we used to be. We found a heart to make a start. We changed us tune, if you please, mining new melodies for songs in different keys.
The mining tradition and its culture are still strong. The miners' welfare centres are also there, playing a crucial and changing part in the lives of the former mining communities. Most miners' welfare schemes were established after the Mining Industry Act of 1920, which allowed a penny a tonne on coal royalties to be collected to provide a miners' welfare fund, which paid to buy land and create new facilities. The majority were set up as independent charities, with a few being friendly societies. They were community centres in the truest sense, in that local residents would usually be employed in the coal mining industry or ancillary activities. But over time, especially with pits closing on a wide scale, some welfares moved by default towards serving only a limited group of former miners and their families. However, the early 60s saw a move towards the broadening out of charity objectives to include the wider community, and it's fair to say that today's modern welfare has come full circle, back to being a community centre for all local inhabitants and driven by the need to constantly adapt to the changing social environment. There are now over 350 miners' welfare schemes up and down the former coalfields. Most have their own premises, social club, sports and other facilities. Each one is a charity run by trustees, and each has a separate business arm that runs the social club, bar and other money-making activities. The profits are all funneled back to the charity. These charities and their associated social enterprises are invariably located in deprived areas, and more often than not, they are the hub of the community, providing a wide range of sporting, recreational and training activities for people of all ages, together with numerous opportunities for voluntary work and paid employment. For example, an average social enterprise will probably provide paid employment for between 5 to 12 people, stewards, bar staff, etc., and the charity between 12 to 50 people in a voluntary capacity, as trustees, sports coaches, first aiders, committee members, etc. Less complicated than it appears, the primary function of this modern structure is to combine the individual elements which are integral to the promotion of the charity's objects. Finally, and most importantly, this structure provides the working platform needed to address future development for today's communities and generations to come.
You've got your cricket, you've got your rugby, you've got your junior rugby, you've got St John's, Ambulance, you've got junior band, you've got Grimethorpe Millennium Majorettes, you've got Briley Cubs. Now these are all we young people, and let me say this as well, none of these people get paid. They do it all voluntary, all on them. So you look at that and you think, well, if we can give them something, let's get in there and let's get it going. You're fetching children off the streets and everything. Our centenary cricket, we had a team from Lord's Taverners, which were unbelievable when they come up. And some of the players what come, they were fantastic with our young'uns. You know, they came in here after. They did teas upstairs, but after the game, they all came in here and they had a drink with us and everything.
Locked in.
Yeah, and all, job and lot. And then on Battle of Britain Day, we had a team from RAF come to celebrate the centenary. They came in here as well. So you've got all that, and I honestly think if the welfare goes, then this community's lost a great asset.
But the welfare schemes, even the big ones, don't operate by themselves. Their activities are overseen by an organisation known as Ciswo, the Coal Industry Social Welfare Organisation.
Ciswo can trace its origins back to the Mining Industry Act of 1920, when the Miners' Welfare Fund was set up with a levy on coal production of £1 a tonne, which was paid for by the coal royalty owners. The fund was initially administered by district committees, but ultimately came under the central control of the Miners' Welfare Commission. And that continued until just after coal industry nationalisation in 1947. At that stage, they were thinking about another entity, and the Miners' Welfare Act of 1952 effectively set up Ciswo, although the limited company had been set up just before then. And Ciswo was funded by the National Coal Board, later the British Coal Corporation, and continued the Miners' Welfare Commission's activities of providing grants for a very wide range of welfare activities. That continued up to privatisation, at which point it was decided to wind up the limited company and set up a national charity, which was given a one-off dowry by central government, but thereafter had to rely on its own fundraising activities.
Nowadays, a typical miners' welfare has the registered charity as the lead organisation, run by a board of trustees, volunteers from the local community, who are responsible for all buildings and land they hold in trust and for fulfilling the charity's objectives. Attached to, and indeed forming part of, the charity, and reporting directly to the trustees, are a wide range of sporting and non-sporting subsections, each of which is run by volunteers and reflects the objectives of the parent charity. All subsections must maintain their accounts and submit them at the financial year end for consolidation into the main charity accounts. Charity Commission and Inland Revenue requirements prohibit charities from carrying on any permanent trading activity. Therefore, they have to establish a trading arm, usually a company limited by guarantee, which is a social enterprise operating on behalf of the charity and within the charity building. The primary focus of the trading arm, which is run by volunteer directors, is to generate revenue and ensure that all profits are covenanted to the charity to assist with its running costs.
The main role of Ciswo is to provide a range of personal and community activities and support to beneficiaries. We have a social work service which undertakes approximately 5,000 home visits each year, and over the past 15 years or so we've accessed grant funding of approximately £30 million via the network of miners' welfare schemes for community regeneration purposes.
Ciswo is no longer just about miners and miners' families. and neither are miners' welfares. The welfares have joined the fight to regenerate the former mining areas in all kinds of new ways that are very different to the old idea that the welfares were purely social and drinking clubs.
Six new ropes, skipping ropes, one floor-to-ceiling ball, and some boxing kit because the lads boxed, and they were due to box last Friday, so we got some red and blue kit, and that looks smashing.
And did you?
What do you think of that?
Real good, anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've got the corner cards back to ensure that we're allowed to be in the corners, which is good.
2,
And the training session for the
3,
ladies.
4, 5. Change for 3. Close. In and out, guys. In and out. Keep moving. Don't stand still. Stand still too long.
Well, the charity, as you know, has been around an awfully long time, and it provides a wide and varied range of activities, sporting and recreational, indoors and outdoors. For example, we have boxing, we have football, we have darts and dominoes, snooker and pool. We also have a pigeon club. We provide dances midweek for the over 60s and bingo sessions. In fact, if I was to tell you everything, we'd be here all night.
But although the face of miners' welfares is changing, most still rely heavily on their bar and social activities for the income to support sport and other services they offer to their communities. Without it, they'd find it difficult to survive. Like any other place, former mining communities have to deal with crime and antisocial behaviour. But they also have a legacy of bad health, high unemployment and low education levels to combat. Communities that were once close-knit and with a sense of pride are now a shadow of what they were.
Michael, first of all, how did the Facing the Future project come about and what are its origins?
Well, it really came about following the successful Mining the Potential scheme that was also a regeneration programme for the South Yorkshire welfares. That was very successful in accessing money and helping welfares to improve their facilities for the general community. As a result of that, funding was then secured for the Facing the Future scheme.
What are its main aims?
Its main aims are to encourage those welfares that are participating, and there are 17, to adapt and secure funding and improve their facilities for the general welfare of the community.
How successful has the project been so far? Because it's not been running long, has it?
No, it's been going about 2 years, but those welfares that are still within the scheme have found it very useful in exchanging information on cost of alcohol and of course artists and games facilities, and I believe that the end result will produce information that will be well worthwhile for all the welfares to succeed for the future.
Whether it's music, social and industrial history or education, the heritage of the coalfields is still a rich one, and the miners' welfares are helping to keep it alive.
As Mayor of Bradley Town Council, can I say how pleased and privileged me and my wife Margaret are to open this gala fun day. Please enjoy yourself.
But who would have thought our Miners' Welfare Centre would be the venue for a hairy bikers rally? At the centre of what the welfares have achieved are the local sports facilities, many of them initially established with help from the coal employers and the National Union of Mine Workers.
I think the sporting side at welfares is exceptionally important. Many of the welfares go back to the 20s and they had very extensive and high quality facilities. Most of these are still with the welfares. They provide a valuable input to the local community, and without them I believe the community would be far worse off.
How many individual miners' welfares, and for that matter people, do you estimate now participate?
Nationally we have over 300 welfares from the south of England through to Scotland. You asked the question of the numbers. This is very difficult to express, but it goes into many thousands. And here at Bayton, for instance, we have projected that with the new facilities, in excess of 40,000 people will visit this. Some of them, of course, revisits, but a very important facility.
So, finally then, what community benefit do you see coming from it?
Without the input that we've had to date, I think welfares would be struggling. There is no doubt with the improvements that we make in terms of improving the actual buildings and the outside facilities, it gives hope for the future and helps to create a sustainable social enterprise for future generations.
In some of the poorest parts of the country, many of which can still point to multiple deprivation, miners' welfares are the only significant providers of outdoor sports facilities, because schools and local authorities have been forced to cut back on these provisions.
There is a realisation that obesity is going to be a problem for us in the future, and although they're talking in terms of different diets for young people, with advice coming from institutions like hospitals on what kind of food people should be eating, particularly with inputs into the community by the PCT, I think also there is, of course, the recreational aspect, and that means that because of the facilities that are available in mining communities, Ciswo could be crucial in really using them to the maximum, so that we get mining families or families who live in mining communities coming to use the recreational facilities. And I think in that way we can start to deal with the obesity problem, because if it isn't dealt with, there's no doubt about it that it is storing up a problem for the future.
The bar and social club side still raises the greater part of each welfare's money, which is then used to support the sports and other activities. But without other direct help, this will not be enough, despite the huge amount of voluntary effort that's put into running them.
Have we got 16 people to take part in it?
We've actually got more than that, so it looks like I might have to run 2 courses.
Right.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yes, this is it. The committee at work.
It's got to confirm.
How long do they actually last for? A couple of hours?
It's 3.5 hours.
3.5.
3.5 hours.
Okay.
Very good.
Is that all right with everyone?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Well, there's still quite a bit to do, so if we can get on to item 8 on the agenda, we're still not quite finished. So, Roy, if you could just update us on the carnival, it would be good.
Right, the Carnival Committee's had a meeting and they have asked me to inform you that the date will be as usual, the 12th of July. Arrangements will be as normal. I have also arranged with the footballers to tidy up afterwards. They said they would do it, so
That's brilliant.
Excellent. So, is everyone happy with that? We haven't had any problems in the past, so as long as you're happy, we can move forward on that one.
Yeah, obviously, if there's any change to the programme, I'll come straight back to you.
Okay. Well, just to make sure that we've got everything under control. We do a tremendous amount for local people, and I think it's fair to say with some emphasis on youngsters. I mean, we have massive playing fields, which, for example, we have over 10 football teams using, of varying ages. We also spend a great amount of time and effort on youth activities, and we have a youth club on the premises, which is used every day. We also allow the young people to use the snooker and pool tables. And then, of course, there's the boxing club, which is fantastically popular and extremely well attended. Overall, I think it's fair to say that we have a good setup here with a wide choice of activities and a lot of input from local people and youngsters. There are many different aspects to the club, social, sporting and leisure, and I'm sure that we provide a worthwhile asset to the local community.
The discipline and comradeship of mining, the influence of the union, and a strong commitment to family and friends produced tightly knit communities that were self-reliant. These strengths are now being turned to a different account. The miners' welfare schemes that are still in operation have to work with their communities to build new partnerships.
How has the after-school club helped your home circumstances?
It's helped in a lot of ways. I can go to work, my children love it, they love coming down here, the activities, they're safe, they're friendly staff, and it enables me to go out to work.
Would you have been able to take a job on if it hadn't have been for the after-school club?
No, I think it'd have been a bit of a struggle, it'd have been hard.
Anne, you celebrated a family wedding here at the Welfare Club. How were the facilities and catering?
It was absolutely excellent. The food, well, you had a choice of the food was excellent, the staff couldn't have been more obliging, and it just made it a perfect night.
What new skills have you picked up here?
Well, I did a small computer course for it lasted 6 weeks, just out of interest to see if I'd enjoy it, and I did. So I went and purchased myself a reconditioned computer, and I'll do photographs of the grandchildren on it, and make birthday cards and things like that.
Walking with my baby down by the San Francisco Bay.
Traditional singing, together with verses and entertainment, are an aspect of our culture that's almost been forgotten. But in some welfares, it's making a comeback and bringing in a new audience.
She don't love me no more. I think I'll catch me a freight train, 'cause I'm feeling kinda blue. Right all the way to the end of the line, thinking only about you.
You wouldn't have expected to find a chess club in a miners' welfare a few years ago either. But now this one is flourishing and giving young and old a new interest as well as sharpening the faculties.
Make a start. We changed us tune, if you please, mining new melodies for songs in different.
So, what is the future for Britain's coalfield communities? And how can the miners' welfare schemes help to make it a successful one? For a start, they have to recognise and develop talent in the kind of people who've not been associated with them in the past.
We took the leap of faith in who we knew ourselves to be, and now we see where it might lead us.
I'm a trustee. We promoted the club and the facilities that we have at the club, which is the sports field, which offers the rugby, the cricket, football. We also support the St John's Ambulance, the majorettes. I currently work in Rotherham. I'm Deputy Manager for Children's Service in Rotherham. So therefore, the work that I do here is done on a voluntary basis, and it's done in the evening and a weekend, so therefore it's quite a lot in my time. I was originally approached due to my background within the Children's Services to become the Child Protection Officer for the Junior Warriors rugby team that we have here. The satisfaction I get is giving something back to the community. I grew up in this community, and as a young person there wasn't much available for myself, so therefore it's about putting services on for the young people, what they can access, and ensuring they've got more to do and not just on the streets as I was. This organisation itself is not just about the people that used to work down in the mines. It's not just old age people that come in here. We promote the facilities to everyone within the community, so we have a lot of young people coming in, we have a lot of women coming in and accessing the service, and families, they fetch their children, and it really is an inclusive organisation.
The fact that social needs are self-evident doesn't mean they'll be met. Even with a new role in community regeneration, miners' welfares can only achieve what their resources allow them to do.
I think that Ciswo is worthy of receiving much more funding than has been made available previously. Whether that would come from government or not is questionable, and I recall, of course, 2003 when we were fighting to ensure that in the new circumstances Ciswo was provided with funding to be able to continue. So I'm sceptical on the one hand about funding coming from government. We've previously been able to bring down funding from the National Lottery. Now, whether that's going to continue given the development of the Olympics for 2012 and the very fact that funding from the National Lottery seems to be all going to provide for funding towards the Olympics, is certainly going to siphon a lot of funding off. And of course, once that we've gone beyond the Olympics, then hopefully lottery funding is going to be back in a way that can be tapped by Ciswo to ensure continuity.
The Facing the Future project commenced in the Yorkshire region in January of 2006 and is due to continue until September of 2008. 17 miners' welfare schemes in South Yorkshire are participating in the project. The project has two main aims. The first is business development. The second thing that the miners' welfares are very involved with is that they provide very valuable community-based recreational facilities. Quite often the only recreational facilities in the former coal mining areas. In this day and age where we're seeing the closure of local authority facilities, school facilities and others, it's becoming increasingly important that we maintain the existence of the mine workers' welfare provision. We're keen to see the development of sport and recreational facilities within former mining working areas well into the future. To enable us to do that, we have to undertake some development ourselves and provide the people who are running the mine workers' welfare schemes with the necessary expertise to do so.
30 years of looking black at Manvers Colliery. That's where I used to earn my money. I've worked underground for about 40 years. I've been a miner all my life. With just 2 sons and 1 daughter. That's me and Iris, my late wife. I've been asked this question more than once, and many a miner will have been asked the same. If ever I could live my life all over, would I go back in pit again? Well, I always look 2 ways at this, and without any shadow of doubt, I'll say no, I wouldn't. When I think about dust, sweat and toil, oh yes I would, when it's the men I'm thinking about.
To where we are, from where we used to be, we found a heart to make a start. We changed us tune, if you please, mining new melodies for songs in different keys. We've come so far to where we are, from where we used to be. We found a heart to make a start. We changed us tune, if you please, mining new melodies for songs in different keys, for songs in different